Today we're joined by another person who has passed through OCBC in her time in Cambridge. While she was a student at Harvard Divinity School, Louisa Fish-Sadin was an important part of OCBC, a member of the spiritual life team, someone who preached from the OCBC pulpit and has now made her way back home to Seattle, where she joins us this morning.
Hi OCBC, welcome to my garden on this spring afternoon. I'm excited to be joining in this reading of Acts from out here in Seattle. The first thing that struck me when I read this passage was the economic language and the various words that, at least today, bring to mind the financial empires. Words like money, marketplace, securely, and stocks, though of course they're not talking about the same kind of stocks I'm thinking about. So I was thinking about that and that language, and the fact that in this passage the Spirit seems to be leading Paul and Silas in an orthogonal direction to the kind of financial culture and empire of the time. It was when her owners saw that their hope of making money was gone that they brought Paul and Silas to the authorities and came up with some spurious charge that landed them in prison. And that leads me to think about where the Spirit might be leading us orthogonally to the call of financial empire today, and leads me to wonder in what moments in my life I have quieted the voice of financial empire around me enough that I can even hear the Spirit. I've been thinking recently about getting rid of my only credit card because I don't want my money to be upholding those empires, and also because it's a frequent flyer card, which seems wrong to me now. So I'm thinking about that and wondering how to quiet the voice of financial empire enough to hear the Spirit, particularly when it's hard to imagine how to quiet the voice of financial empire without burying myself under a rock somewhere. The other thing that strikes me reading this passage today is that Paul and Silas are thrown into prison so that they'll be there securely, and their bodies are even immobilized with their feet fastened in the stocks. And it seems like the authorities believe that if they curtail the mobility of the disciples, they'll be able to curtail the way that the Spirit is disrupting their society. But of course, as we'll find out in the next reading, curtailing their mobility has no effect on the movement of the Spirit. And that leads me to think about the ways that our mobilities have been and will continue to be curtailed voluntarily and by law in this COVID-19 pandemic. And leads me to wonder where we're buying into the idea that when our mobility is diminished, our power is diminished. And leads me to examine that assumption underlying, I'm sure, some of my behaviors and thoughts, and really try to see the diminishing of our physical mobility as perhaps an opportunity for the Spirit to break through in other ways. So those are the two thoughts I'm bringing with you today. I'm curious to hear what you're thinking and what your response to them is. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, wherever you are.